Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Fellowship Assembly for April 2025. Have lots to chat about today, and you can probably hear my puppy in the background. I'll shut him off there in a minute. I'll mute him. I have this month, sorry, is seventh area focus, Rotary Environment Focus, and this was started in the 1991 when President Paulo Costa from Brazil, he was the RI president, and that became one of his primary areas of his causes, I guess is how to best it. So he created the Preserve Planet Earth Subcommittee, and that's what started the whole process for Rotary eventually adopting environment as its seventh area of focus. So Rotary is committed to supporting activities that strengthen the conservation and protection of natural resources, advance ecological sustainability, and foster harmony between communities and the environment. So without further ado, I'm just going to mute myself and put, we have a short video clip to start off with here. And
can you bring the stand for the phone? For the cell phone down?
Oh, hang on a minute. So good. Hello.
Hello, hello.
I had go. There, we're about to have a video.
Hi, I'm Emily Stevenson, co-founder of Beach Guardian down in the southwest of England. I'm currently on Trevone Beach in North Cornwall, and I've just done a beach clean and found all of this plastic that's washed in on the tide onto the beach. In 2019, I was delighted to be recognised by the Rotary Young Citizen Award. I love working with Rotary to help support and protect our environment, and every time I do work with Rotary, they're always so encouraging, helping me to grow and achieve my full potential. As an example, with collaborations we've done in the past, we've joined 3 of our local Rotary clubs on a litter pick for World Cleanup Day 2019, where we cleaned the riverbed in Truro, thus stopping all of the plastic from entering the ocean in the first place. It was absolutely phenomenal, and Rotary certainly delivered. We removed kilos and kilos of plastic from the environment. Beach Guardian aims to engage, educate and empower against plastic pollution. An example of this is when I wore my dress made out of Walker's crisp packets to my graduation in 2018. This, along with other campaigns at the time, led to Walker's introducing the very first nationwide crisp packet recycling scheme. The future is incredibly exciting for Beach Guardian, and I cannot wait for all of the future collaborations with Rotary and supporting them in their new area of supporting the environment.
I'm in Aberystwyth and we've had a successful beach clean this morning. Plastic is becoming the scourge of the nation, and in Rotary we're pushing to have all clubs interested in the cleanup of plastics wherever they can, whether it be beach, river, canal, waterway, whatever, so that people can see what we're doing, people of action.
I saw that there was a clean going on today, and I thought I'd come along, and I didn't know it was anything to do with the Rotary Club, but I'm always looking for opportunity to help clean up the environment in any way I can.
Today has been about getting Rotarians from all up and down the coast to come and help here, so it's been wonderful to see so many members here. The success I've seen so far is being told off by parents who say, we can't even get on the beach now without the kids doing a litter pick first, what's going on?
Do you know what apple cider vinegar does to your...
Yeah, I know.
okay, everybody, I'm going to turn things over to Keith.
Oh, I think David's here. Is David?
Oh, David's here now. Oh, there he is. Okay.
I can do it, David, but if you're okay, go ahead. Oh, no sound, David. You're muted.
Yeah, you're muted, David.
I'll ask everybody else to mute themselves too once we get going here, please.
Still muted, Dave. Trying to find the unmute button on his phone. That's not all that easy. Ah, perfect.
I've got it. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Elly this morning. Elly Contreras Vermeulen was born in the Netherlands and immigrated to Canada in 1973. She joined the Rotary Club of Stony Plain in 1996, 2 years after her husband Ramiro had joined the Rotary Club of Spruce Grove. After serving as club president for Stony Plain Club Elly, Stony Plain Club, Elly continued her service as district governor and held several positions at zone and international level. Elly was the founder of the first Rotary E-Club in Canada and presented at international conventions about membership development and the new E-Club model. When Ramiro was diagnosed with dementia, they decided to sell all their belongings in Canada and became permanent residents at Lake Chapala in 2021. With lack of resources and the stigma around dementia, Elly felt the desire to create more awareness about the disease and started researching and studying the topic. Out of this, Lakeside Daybreak Dementia Support was born. With Ramiro now in full-time care, Elly became a Rotary Club member of the Rotary Club of Ashishi and is an honorary member of the Rotary Club of Canada 1. Elly joined the Alzheimer's Dementia Rotary Action Group as a club champion and makes presentations on a regular basis in her community. Her mission is to educate members of her community about the disease, the risk factors, and how dementia can be prevented. We'll look forward to your presentation, Elly.
Thank you, David. Sometimes when I hear I buy or think, oh, I did that. The numbers are staggering. More than 55 million people around the world are living with dementia, and 10 million new cases are diagnosed every year. Don't you think it's time that we start paying attention and take some action? One of Rotary's areas of focus, actually I should go back here, is disease prevention and treatment. Many Rotary clubs around the world address a number of mental health issues through various projects, including dementia. And today I will be sharing some important facts. What we can do to break the silence, how we can prevent or slow down dementia, and how you can determine and reduce your risk factors. I will also share the initiative I've taken to offer support to those dealing with dementia. The moment it became obvious that dementia had sneaked into our home more than 10 years ago, I made it my mission to learn more about it, help create awareness, and remove the stigma around the disease. I enrolled in various courses on the topic, and I also joined, as David said, the Alzheimer and Dementia Rotary Action Group as a club champion. Now, raise your hand, for those that can raise your hand, if you know someone who is dealing with dementia. I would say pretty well everybody. It's scary, isn't it? The good news, however, is 1%, only 1% of those over the age of 65 with normal age-related memory issues will get dementia. But 2 to 8% of all new dementia cases are seen at a much younger age, as low as 30. You may have heard of mild cognitive impairment, or MCI. This condition could eventually lead to dementia, but only 10 to 20% of people older than 65 with MCI develop dementia within a year. But even at age 65, you are able to reduce the risk. It's alarming to learn that 1/3 of the population is living with some form of undiagnosed dementia. We tend to believe that if our parents or grandparents had dementia, we will get it as well. The majority of dementia cases are not inherited by children or grandchildren. One of the most significant genetic risk factors is a gene called APOE4. About 25% of people carrying one copy of APOE4 and 2 to 3% carry 2 copies. Inheriting these genes does not mean a person will develop the disease. However, if both parents carry this disease, your risk will increase. But only rarer types of dementia have a stronger genetic link. But these are only a tiny proportion of overall cases of dementia. Scientists are very close to offering blood tests for a biomarker of Alzheimer's. And this will result in much earlier detection of the disease. And I believe in Germany, they're already available. We are often told dementia cannot be cured and is not reversible. Based on recent studies, some forms of dementia, however, can be prevented or reversed. And I'm not talking about a magic pill. There are several doctors who have documented cases of dementia that were indeed reversed. We are starting to see much more evidence for hope. But it also depends a lot on the type of dementia, and there are well over 100. We are all aware that our population is aging. This will have a huge impact, an effect on the increase in numbers. But aging does not mean dementia. Many factors contribute to this case, the disease. My mom lived to be 96 and she was as sharp as a tack. So I hope I have her genes. Memory loss also does not necessarily mean dementia. Depression, stress, urinary tract infection, brain injuries, and other illnesses, or even the medication you are taking could cause memory loss. If the decline, however, is due to a stroke or brain injury, it's usually permanent. Over the past 15 years, scientists and doctors have noted slower cognitive decline among seniors who followed a healthy lifestyle. I encourage you to watch the documentary Memories for Life for a better understanding on the work related to reversing cognitive decline. Dr. Bredesen, who is the author, is an expert in this field. And after 15 years of hitting brick walls, his finding has finally been accepted. And his theories are now recognized by the World Health Organization as well as the Alzheimer's Society. Today, it is reasonable to claim that dementia can be reversed and prevented in many cases, at least in the next generation. Remember, we once thought we could not reverse artery clogging plaque that triggered heart disease, but now we know different. Similarly, dementia can be reversed if caught early enough and by addressing all factors that affect brain fracture, and these I will address in a moment. But who do you think is responsible for making the changes for a healthier lifestyle? Is it the government? Is it the big companies with their sugar-loaded and processed food? Or is it us, the consumer, in charge of our own body? You can't respond to that, but normally when I'm in my room, they all have their own opinion. But I'd say, how about all of the above? Nutrition has always been of great interest to me. It started in my early 20s when I studied at the Cosmetology School of Canada. We didn't only learn about makeup and making pretty faces and getting cosmetics. We also learned how food and vitamins affect our hair, our skin, and our overall body health in so many different ways. Later on, during my years in our printing business in Spruce Grove, I worked with a nutritional consultant on course material for nurses, describing the effect of sugarhead on our body and how food can be our medicine. Did you know that children conceived and born in Great Britain during World War II, when sugar was rationed, were less likely to develop diabetes or high blood pressure later in life? And yet, sugar science at California UCSF says that 74% of packaged food contain added sugar. Isn't that a concern? I love what the Mexican government has done. They may be on the right track, but it really takes the fun out of eating here. You know, and many people may not pay attention to the labels. Perhaps all of us start putting more food without these labels in our shopping carts. I've never seen such a label on a bag of spinach or frozen blueberries or a can of salmon or sardines. While some provinces in Canada, this is one, may have banned the sale of junk food in schools, it's not a nationwide policy. In general, the availability of junk food in schools varies by province.
Food is now banned in all of Mexican schools.
Some schools may have stricter policies, while others may still have vending machines and truck shops in less nutritious options. In Mexico, any type of junk food is now banned as of April 1st of this year. And that was not an April Fool's joke. And it also doesn't prevent kids from bringing it in from the home, you know, but at least they're making some progress. So what about processed food? I can't really see. I have to move this over to the side. In the USA, ultra-processed food make up 50 to 70% of the diet, the highest consumption rate in the world. And by processed food, we mean foods that have been changed from the natural states. The ultra-processed food the ultra-processed food, including soft drinks, that are the worst for both brain and heart. And of course, other favorites, sugar-coated donut, muffins, and cookies. Not really the best choices, unless they're homemade and without sugar. There are some exceptions, such as a bag of cut vegetables, for instance, or frozen salmon steaks, or ground flaxseed, and normally I would show the bags of those. They're considered processed, but they're not an issue because they're not ultra-processed. I suggest always read the label and try to stick with one ingredient whenever possible. It's interesting that dementia is not present or rare in several places in the world. Lack of contact with the outside world and an active lifestyle could play a role in why indigenous groups in the remote Amazon of Bolivia have some of the lowest rates of dementia in the world. You may also have heard of the Blue Zone, another excellent example. Many residents living in the original Blue Zones around the world share 9 healthy lifestyle habits that help them live longer, healthier lives. Most use plant-based diet, which is mostly recommended. But if you're like me, you like your eggs and your fish, the Mediterranean diet is also recommended and may be a preferred choice for someone. But it's not our fault that we may not be eating right, is it? Before the 50s, lifestyles in the developed world were so much healthier. Then TV appeared in our homes, and manufacturers seized the opportunity to advertise the product directly to children. It's all about profits. The bad ultra-processed food stare us right in the face the moment we enter the supermarket or at the checkout. It's so much easier to grab a box of processed food than going to the produce department and reflect on the amount of work we have to do before we can put dinner on the table. It won't be easy to re-educate the world's population, but we are making progress. How many years did it take to make people understand that smoking results in serious health issues before the government finally stepped in? Will the same happen with sugar? With smoking, children influence their parents and grandparents to give up their tobacco addiction. Today, they influence their parents to buy candy. First, we need to educate the parents and the grandparents, and hopefully the children will catch on. Just don't bring the bad food home. Don't give it to the grandkids. During my recent studies with the Wicking University of Tasmania, I learned how risk factors can be detected at a very early stage and what steps can be taken to reduce these risks. There are many online tools available to measure your own risk factors. I have a number of handouts, but I can't give them to you. But if you like some shared with you, I can email them to you. They have self-testing sites, links to self-testing sites, and a lot of other very helpful information. Also different kind of sugar substitute that are healthier for you. So let's take a look at the main risk factor that can be changed. If a person acts on these, they could reduce the dementia risk, even at a later age. One very surprising one to me was the lower level of education. There's a clear association between education level and dementia risk. By age 70, 16% of women with less than high school education are expected to develop dementia, compared to 2% of college-educated women. It's never too late to learn, even if you're already past 60. Another one is hearing loss can cause dementia both through brain strain or social isolation. Then there's hypertension, obesity, smoking. Depression can also lead to changes that increase the risk of dementia. Loneliness was linked to a nearly 60% increased risk of all-cause dementia, based on a 15-year follow-up of dementia patients. It's important to stay connected with family and friends, find meaning or purpose in life, join Rotary. It's also important to stay physically active, and you don't need to run a marathon. Half an hour walk a day or bike ride is already effective, but any type that brings up the heart rate is best because that brings the blood to the brain. Diabetes, both type 1 and type 2, increase the risk of dementia. We saw the toxins, plastics in the water. It's all in our systems, but also lead fillings in our teeth, pesticides. Air pollution may also increase cognitive decline and dementia. We should also pay attention to mercury. Cholesterol, high level of cholesterol can form plaques, but you need to know the difference between HDL and LDL. You want the LDL to be low and the HDL to be high to help with any dementia issues. Nutrition, besides focusing on food, consider how vitamin B6 and 12 and the vitamin D deficiency can be associated with dementia. And there's actually more than just 12 factors. Alcohol consumption is a big risk factor. Getting enough sleep strengthens the bond between brain cells that help you remember for the long term. As we get older, I was told by our doctor, we can get away with less sleep. But, for younger people, 8 hours is recommended. Stress causes the release of cortisol, a hormone that can cause memory problems and brain function issue. Dental health Any type of inflammation, whether it's in the mouth or in the gut, can cause inflammation in the brain. The gut and the brain are very closely directed. They talk to each other. It's never too early or never too late to make changes, no matter what age you are. You may know of someone who has mild cognitive impairment or have been diagnosed with early onset dementia. There's no need to panic or give up hope. If you follow the suggestions that I'm making today, there's hope for you and your loved ones. The interesting thing is that in many cases, the persons themselves may not realize it, but those around them will notice the changes. Do not ignore any change in behavior, even if they're very subtle, unless you want to be amongst the 1/3 of undiagnosed people. Have your doctor do a more specific testing if you are concerned. Ask them to address the entire list of risk factors, but don't let them tell you to wait 6 months and see how you're doing on your next test. It's important to address the issue right now. If you're in denial or ashamed to speak with anyone about concerns, you can do a simple test yourself online. And like I said, I do have some documents that has that information. So let's say there is not some cognitive decline in somebody you know, maybe even in yourself. Don't wait to start making changes. Now it's the time to address all those risk factors I just shared with you. It's also important to participate in a variety of brain-stimulating group activities which address social engagement. It has been proven, see there's Ramiro, it has been proven that adults who take part in the day program live much longer at home. Maybe your community has a day activity facility for the elderly. And it's fun, it can be fun. We're not always comfortable sharing our feelings, thoughts, fears, or hope for the future, or provide instructions to others who how support can be given to us or how to handle the situation. We don't even like to acknowledge the fact that we may have an issue. To address this and create more awareness and understanding for caregivers and others around us, an organization in the United States established a program called To Whom I May Concern. This program provides an opportunity to those who have been diagnosed with memory decline or MCI to share their thoughts in a small supportive group setting. Their discussions are written down and converted into a play, which they perform by reading the words in front of an audience. And I was very fortunate to be selected as a facilitator for such a performance in our community, the first time in Mexico. And we did that April 7th, and it was a huge success. We had 130 people in attendance, and we're planning on doing that performance again. In closing, I'd like to share some additional information with you. 1/3 of medical professions are not familiar with dementia, and they admit it, and they need to be trained, but they say we can only cover so much. We all need to be trained and learn how to deal with this disease. We need to bring it out in the open. I'm sure that many of you have experienced, or some of you may have experienced with dementia and family members, or maybe friends, and try to figure out what they're thinking, seeing, or hearing, what's going on in their mind. It wasn't until I came across a short documentary called that was created to help caregivers and care professionals understand and learn more than ever imagined, learn about dementia. And after watching this YouTube video, I finally realized what was going on in Ramiro's head was actually nothing. It helped me understand better and taught me to be more patient. I was also convinced that what I'm doing to create awareness is critical. We need to bring it out in the open and offer support to both caregivers, partners, and to those who have lost their mind. That's actually the word dementia comes from the Latin word. Dementia is the Latin word for having lost their mind. So believe me, unless you have ever been or are a caregiver, you have no idea what it means. It can have a devastating impact on people, their families, and society. There's so many reasons why we need to address this. The cost of dementia is projected to increase to $1.7 trillion by 2030. It's good to know. I'm getting a lot of publications from various countries, and in Europe and in China, they're now starting with a program for children in schools to teaching them about lifestyles and that. So making some progress, but it takes another generation or two. We have to make changes for our own future and that are of our families, children, and grandchildren. So please, if you did record it, I didn't see that it was being recorded, share this with friends and family, with your kids and with the grandkids. It is critical. We have a Facebook page. It's called Lakeside Daybreak Dementia Support. And I'm inviting you to follow us. We have a lot of information that is very helpful for people. So like and share, please. So if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Anyone have questions for Elly? Comments?
Comment. I mean, your list of factors, Elly, was incredible. I mean, my dad had Alzheimer's, and his education stopped at grade 7, and he had rickets as a kid. So vitamin D and low levels of education, big factors. Amazing.
Many people think that they need to start taking vitamin D. Here, of course, with all the sun, we don't need it. But even if you are exposed to vitamin D during the summer months, your body will store it for the winter. You know, people are afraid that, oh, it's winter, I need to take more vitamin D. We used to take cod liver oil in the winter.
Yeah.
But no, I've learned a lot also about the various vitamins and supplements. Omega oil is also very important for good brain health. Yes.
Tammy, not so much a question, but just a comment. Elly was talking about awareness of the topic, and we're all much more aware of it than even just a few years ago. But what Elly is doing is so amazing, because she always takes something with passion, and the awareness that she's creating in her community, and talking about it and doing the presentations, is just quite remarkable. And then one thing that I learned being with Romero a little bit, one thing I became aware of was that music is so essential.
Yeah.
Like music is a gateway to the brain, I'm convinced. And when you start looking at it, they've done a lot of research where they've found, they can take people that are, not with it at all, and put headphones on and play music, and all of a sudden, they're there, and they got the lyrics and the tunes from 60 years ago, like we all would, it's just a proven fact that the music is a wonderful gateway to, and we've seen it with Ramiro, and
definitely.
There's hope.
Yeah.
Elly, in your presentation, you talked about urinary tract infections. Do you know how does a urinary tract infection cause dementia? Because my brother-in-law right now, he's getting recurring urinary tract infections, and his mind you can tell, because all of a sudden, he's gone. His mind is gone.
It's the inflammation. It's the inflammation.
Oh, okay. Just right.
Yeah. So, any kind of inflammation, like, even your teeth, good dental health is very important.
Yeah.
So there are several things. It's inflammation and toxins in the brain. And I mean, Ramiro was in the printing business working with lead and with chemicals. And then he also had a lawnmower blade cut his head and fracture his skull. So, you know, a series of things. But we were able to delay the progress actually by following Dr. Bredeson's diet. And I believe that it does make a difference. Whenever we had a day where he was taking wine or having too much sugar, the next day he was just like lost. And I'm okay. And then we stopped doing that and he was much better. It just slowed down. And now too, he's very stable now. Yeah. But
We
not
just had a-
stable enough to have him at home.
No.
I know.
Sadly, we just had talked with a friend yesterday. His wife had a urinary tract infection. And the effect was so profound on her brain, they thought she'd had a stroke.
Yeah,
Crazy.
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, we need to take care of our health and move around because urinary tract affection is also sometimes a result of sedentary lifestyle.
Yeah.
Mhm. And right now that's his life. He
Yes.
can't move around, so
Yeah.
he's got cancer.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, Elly, for me listening, throughout the whole presentation, I was struggling not to cry because my dad had dementia and my mother-in-law. And just as Keith said, some of the things that you shared answered so many questions, and I'm going to have to share, with Len, because you sit back and both of us were in Alberta. His mother was in BC, my dad was in Nova Scotia. But as Keith said, about education, both of our parents, had low education, that they basically self-isolated. And I watched my dad when I would go because he knew something was happening and his frustration. But my dad did go to a day program, that he went, I think 3 times a week. They came, picked him up, and he went, to a day program. So we did do, both of them were involved in some things, more my dad because my mom pushed him. But my mother-in-law, she had so many things that you checked off, like she smoked, she ate lots of sugar, and she had problems with her stomach, and then the ultimate demise that she ended up with prednisone toxicity, and then there was no coming back from that. So some things that were outside of her control, some things that were. But thank you very much for your honesty, and I know it must be hard for you. I never had the pleasure of meeting your husband while he was still himself, and me just listening to you, how emotional it was for me. Kudos to you for being able to share with us a very, I'm sure, internally painful subject.
it's important that we talk about it. After our performance, which was amazing, it was just unbelievable. The people that are still commenting when they see the video. And one lady commented, she said, I cried throughout the whole performance when she saw it. I think she saw the recording. And she said, both my parents had dementia and they kept it silent. And we kept silent and we didn't do anything. And now I'm thinking, we should have done things different. One of the performance during our sessions, weekly sharing sessions, well, there were about 5 people that shared on a different topic. And we said, what is what would you tell people, your friends, to do? And she said, I lost so many of my friends. They don't come and they don't talk to me anymore. And I find that too. Things have changed for us. And she was crying when she was saying that. And then when I met her a few days later, she said, 3 of my friends called me and someone came and picked me up and we went for lunch. And I thought, wow, it does make an impact. So even though it's a little bit at the time I think this is very important, so I keep doing it. Not for me. I'm saying, people say, well, you should be relaxing now. No, I need to do this because it helps me. By helping others, I'm helping myself. So that's really my motto. Yeah.
Mm.
And I can see now the result and the different things that we're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, the reference to cod liver oil was a good one as well, because I can remember
Definitely.
in central school in North Sydney, I'm sure Lois has the same memory of them making us take cod liver oil. It was just awful.
From a spoon even.
Oh, yeah, line up and.
And
But I'd like
it would be followed by a candy.
Oh, I don't think we got the candy.
No candies.
But I'd like to
Okay.
suggest you don't believe that the cherry flavored cod liver oil tastes like cherries. It doesn't.
No. It's funny, my mom has Alzheimer's. My dad had rapid onset dementia, and when January, I had seen him last year when before he passed away, and he was very lucid. He had talked to us about what kind of a service he would want and have you. I went back to PEI at the end of March, and he had no idea who I was. That's how fast it happened. When I sat down, I said, "Hi, Dad." He and my mom were doing some activities in the room, and he said, "Well, I think you're confused, dear." He said, "I'm not your dad." And he said, "You look familiar, but I'm pretty sure I'm not your dad." So, it's funny now, but it was very sad then. But he never really came out of it. He had a stroke then eventually.
Maybe you needed to have a serious discussion with your mother then. Tammy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. But the interesting thing was Mom got Alzheimer's first, and they covered for each other for a very long time until Dad got worried that Mom was going to burn the place down because she was leaving the stove on. And so he finally came forward, and they made the decision themselves to go into a place where they could both be helped during a multifaceted place. So it worked out for sure. But Frank's mom also had dementia, and it's just interesting how when you look back, all of the signs were there. We just didn't recognize
We
it.
didn't know. And that's what I'm saying too.
Yeah.
Back in 2009, I
Yeah.
already and my friend Dee kept saying, "Elly, he can't help it." But it doesn't mean anything to me. He can't help. What do you mean he can't help it? He's just lazy. He's just, wants me to do everything. If I had known then what I know now, we would have been able to take more action because it was still very early. So yeah, that's my lesson. Take action.
Yeah.
And Tammy, when you were saying about your dad not recognizing you, I was, helping my mother move when it was coming close to end of life for my dad. And Keith knows this because he's met my mother. I look a lot like my mother. I sound like my mother.
Yeah.
And I had to be very cognizant, not because I didn't want to spend time with my dad, but I didn't ever want my dad to look at me and think I was my mother and not recognize who my mother was. And that was, my mom and I talked about it, but I couldn't do that to her because that would have been devastating, because then I was going to have to leave and he would keep looking for me. And
that's right. Yeah.
Elly, I was in Mexico on an exchange program for schooling, and I was so impressed there. In that particular school, the parents brought the food and cooked the food in the, they didn't really have a cafeteria, they had a kitchen, but for break times, there would be fruit vendors outside and vegetable vendors. There wasn't ice cream. There wasn't, there was none of the brownie stuff and all that, but there was fresh fruit and fresh vegetables for the kids to buy on the school grounds. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It is. Well, Elly, thank you for making us aware of all of your experiences with dementia and how you I agree. Helping yourself is helping others is helping yourself is what I meant to say. But it's really nice that one of our own has come forward and shared all of your thoughts and ideas and suggestions about how we can be better prepared for the signs of dementia for sure. So this is getting close to wrapping up our monthly fellowship assembly. If anybody has anything else to add, or
So
I'm
if
going to stop
anybody
the
does
record.
want some of the handouts, I can share them.
Great. Okay, that's good. I'm just going to press the stop button here for the recording.